They tell you they're protecting your financial freedom. They promise growth, stability, and opportunity. But what if the truth is the opposite? That the system you live in was designed to keep you dependent. For centuries, governments have used the same hidden financial tricks to quietly drain wealth from ordinary people while enriching those at the top. They just rebrand the tactics. New names, new justifications, but the outcome never changes. Your savings shrink, your cost of living rises, and your debt grows. And it's not a conspiracy theory. It's economics, history, and policy. Today, we're exposing the exact financial tricks governments use to keep you broke, and how you can protect yourself. Trick number 1 is inflation. They call it a healthy economy. They say a little inflation is good for growth. But what if inflation isn't just an economic side effect? What if it's the oldest financial trick in the book? A quiet way to drain your wealth without ever touching your bank account. Here's the truth most people never hear. Inflation isn't just rising prices. It's your money losing value. Every time new money is printed, the money already in your pocket becomes worth a little less. You worked for it, you saved it, but the government can erase its value overnight, legally, by simply pressing print. Why would they do that? Because inflation helps them. It makes massive government debts easier to pay back with cheaper money. It allows banks to profit off the gap between your shrinking savings and rising interest rates. It quietly transfers wealth from those who hold money to those who create it. Think about it. You work harder every year, but your grocery bill, rent, and taxes climb faster than your salary. That's not bad luck. That's policy. Inflation is the invisible tax nobody voted for. It's how they take from everyone, without a single law being passed. And the craziest part? This trick has been used for centuries. Empires collapsed because of it, economies were reset because of it, and still they tell us it's normal. But if this is just the first trick, imagine what the others look like. Because inflation isn't the end of the story. It's only the beginning. Trick number 2 is debt. They told you debt was opportunity, that taking loans meant you were building a future. A house, a car, a degree, all symbols of success. But what if the truth is darker? What if debt isn't freedom at all, but the most efficient system of control ever created? Here's how the game really works. The moment you take on debt, you're no longer free. You're locked in. You need that job, you need that paycheck. You need that system to keep running, no matter how unfair it gets. Because missing one payment, that's the difference between stability and collapse. Governments know this, banks know this. And together, they've built an economy where almost everyone owes someone, and no one can afford to stop playing the game. They sell it as financial opportunity, low-interest loans, student debt forgiveness, credit rewards. But what it really does is keep you chasing, always paying, never owning. And every payment you make doesn't just reduce your balance, it feeds the machine. Debt isn't just a personal burden, it's a national addiction. The government itself runs on debt, and they need you to stay indebted to keep the system balanced. You, the taxpayer, the worker, the borrower, you are the collateral holding the whole illusion together. And here's the part they'll never admit. A population buried in debt is easier to manage than a population that's truly free. So, if debt is just another trick, a chain disguised as progress, what other traps are they hiding in plain sight? Because the next one might be the most dangerous of all. Trick number 3, taxation. They say taxes are the price we pay for a civilized society. That it's your duty, your contribution, your fair share. But if you've ever wondered why the harder you work, the less it feels like you're getting ahead, you're starting to see the trick. Because the tax system isn't about fairness, it's about control. Think about it. You earn a paycheck, and before you even see it, the government takes its cut. Then they tax what's left when you spend it, when you save it, when you invest it, even when you die. Every transaction, every move, every breath in this system has a price tag. Meanwhile, the wealthy, the ones the system claims to be taxing more, have armies of accountants and offshore havens waiting to make it all disappear. They don't pay taxes like you do. They design the tax code. Because taxes aren't about taking from the rich and giving to the poor. They're about taking from the productive to feed the machine, a machine that keeps power concentrated where it's always been. Your taxes don't just fund schools and hospitals. They fund inefficiency, bureaucracy, wars, and interest payments on debts that were never yours to begin with. You're paying for promises they made decades ago, and you'll keep paying long after they're gone. But here's the genius of it. They made you believe it's noble. That struggling under the weight of endless taxes is somehow patriotic. It's not, it's engineered dependency. Because when they control how much you earn, how much you keep, and how much you owe, they control you. And if taxation is this twisted, wait until you see what happens when they control the money itself. Trick number 4 is currency devaluation and central banking, the engine of control. Every empire has one thing in common. They all eventually learned how to control money. Because once you control money, you control everything. But here's what they don't teach you. The money you use today isn't real wealth. It's debt. The paper in your wallet, the numbers on your screen, they're created out of thin air by central banks. Institutions that aren't elected, yet hold more power over your life than any politician ever could. They decide when to print, when to raise rates, when to crash markets, and when to stimulate the economy. In reality, they're stimulating control. Every time they print more currency, the value of everything you own silently erodes. Your savings buy less, your rent rises, your retirement dreams fade just a little further away. And while you struggle to keep up, the people closest to the printing press, governments, banks, corporations, get richer. It's the perfect scam. They take something infinite, money, and make you trade it for your finite time. Your hours, your labor, your life energy, all exchanged for paper they can create in seconds. This isn't capitalism, it's monetary feudalism. A system designed to keep you working harder for money that's worth less every year, while those at the top hold assets that only grow in value. And the most dangerous part? You've been told this is normal, that inflation, interest rates, and economic cycles are just how things work. But what if it's not a cycle? What if it's a design? One that's been perfected for centuries to keep power in the same hands. Because when money itself becomes the tool of control, the game changes completely. And the next trick will show you just how deep this control really goes. Trick number 5 is controlled markets, the illusion of choice. They tell you we live in a free market, that prices rise and fall by supply and demand, that competition keeps everything fair. But if you've ever wondered why housing always gets more expensive, why food prices never really drop, or why the same few corporations seem to own everything, you're beginning to see the illusion. Because the markets aren't free, they're managed. And the management isn't for your benefit. When markets crash, who gets rescued? It's not the small investor, not the local business, not the worker who just lost their job. It's the banks, the hedge funds, the conglomerates too big to fail. They gamble with your future, and when it all collapses, the government steps in with your tax money to bail them out. That isn't capitalism, that's corporate welfare dressed as economic stability. Every bailout, every subsidy, every emergency measure widens the gap between those who make the rules and those who live by them. You think you're investing freely, but the game board is tilted. Algorithms move faster than human thought. Insider networks decide who wins before the game even starts. And when retail investors begin to challenge the system, like during the meme stock revolts, the rules suddenly change. Trading gets halted. Regulations appear overnight. The illusion resets. So how do you protect yourself in a market built to keep you small? Start by understanding that you are the product, your attention, your data, your labor, your faith in the system. Stop feeding it blindly. Invest in assets you control, real skills, knowledge, and income streams that don't depend on one employer or one platform. Diversify into real-world value, productive assets, cash flow businesses, even tangible stores of value that can't be printed away. And most importantly, never assume the people in charge will save you, because the system is designed to save itself. Once you see that the markets are engineered, you start asking bigger questions. If the game is rigged, who wrote the rules? And what happens when people finally stop playing by them? Because that's where real freedom begins, when awareness turns into action. And in the final part, we'll uncover exactly how that transformation starts. Now that you've seen how the game works, inflation, debt, taxes, devaluation, and market manipulation, you can't unsee it. You realize the system isn't broken. It's built this way. Every solution they sell you is just another layer of control, another illusion to keep you chasing stability that never really comes. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. The moment you understand the system, you stop being controlled by it. When you learn how money really works, you start moving differently. You stop saving in dying currencies and start investing in value that can't be inflated away. You stop chasing debt-fueled dreams and start building independence. And you stop believing politicians will save you because you realize the real power has always been in your own hands. Freedom doesn't start when the system changes. It starts when you do. So, if you're ready to break out of the illusion, if you want to understand how to protect your wealth, your energy, and your time, you're in the right place. Because this was just the beginning. There are more tricks, more layers, and more truths they'll never teach you in school. So stay curious, stay awake, and if you're serious about financial freedom, subscribe right now.